Yeah.
We are back on Morning Line. Thanks for joining us. Our guest this morning is Tim Takacs, elder care attorney. It's always nice. You know him, even if you can't really see his face, you see the bow tie.
Yes.
That's a trademark. You and Orville Redenbacher. You know the popcorn guy?
The popcorn guy, yeah.
It's you. It's your trademark. All right, we've got calls for you, my friend.
We do.
Let's go to Joe to start things off. Joe, good morning.
Good morning, Nick.
Hello.
And Tim.
Good morning.
I've got a couple questions right quick. How does this assisted living and nursing homes work with if you've got a Medicare Advantage insurance plan? And why is it in the state of Tennessee that most nursing homes and assisted living don't want to take Medicaid?
It's a great question. I was going to follow up on that, Joe. That's great.
Okay, so Joe mentioned about a Medicare Advantage plan.
Yes.
And that's how Medicare Advantage plans are. It's Medicare managed care.
Okay.
It's where you get your Medicare from a managed care organization, which is a private company, that basically does your Part A and Part B and all the other stuff. And that's how you get your Medicare. So you pay, whatever you're paying for Medicare now, through like Part B or whatever it is, that goes to the managed care organization, and you're in a network.
Would it be
of physicians.
And a little more beyond that?
Some of it is. Some of them, they have exercise, they have gyms, they have, so they emphasize wellness. Why
would someone choose to go with that instead of just going with straight Medicare?
Because people who are healthier, they feel like they get more for their money.
Okay.
By putting, but sometimes, but there are restrictions on Medicare Advantage plans, which means that, you have to make sure your doctor accepts payment from that Medicare Advantage plan. Not all doctors do. Not all of them are in the network. Not all hospitals are in the network. So you're limited, by your providers. Okay, that's one. And if you're in an assisted living and you're in a Medicare Advantage plan, that's okay.
Gotcha.
There's no different from traditional Medicare, traditional fee-for-service Medicare. So we have both. We have clients who are in Medicare Advantage plans. We have clients who are in a traditional Medicare with a Medicare supplemental insurance policy and assisted living, and they're doing okay.
All right.
So I would not recommend that anybody change just because they like to say they move to an assisted living facility. Oh, I need to go to Medicare Advantage, or I need to go to a traditional Medicare, because there are potential consequences of that.
Okay, all right.
Which may not be, and that's a different show.
Okay.
Yeah. And as you know, we've done we have our Take Us McGinnis Elder Care Law Hour, where we've talked about Medicare.
That, right.
Yes.
Yeah. I mean, that's a whole lot.
So we get into a whole nitty-gritty of how Medicare works.
Okay. Now, what about his other question about
why don't more nursing homes and assisted living
in Tennessee? Yeah.
Right.
I guess I did not know that till you mentioned that.
Yeah.
Why don't? Let's be clear then. Obviously, these assisted living and nursing homes are not required to accept it.
They are not. They are not required to accept it. All right. And the reason that a lot of nursing homes accept Medicaid, we call participate in the Medicaid program, is that it's a guaranteed source of payment. All right, a lot of people can't pay $100,000 a year to live in a nursing home. And so nursing homes will say, well, we agree that we'll accept Medicaid as payment in full for what's paid to us, even though maybe it's less than what we could get for private payment.
Gotcha. Okay, that makes sense.
So it tends to be why it's about the money.
Okay, but on the other hand, so that sounds like, well, that's a good backup to fall down.
Yes.
Why wouldn't they choose to do it then?
Because they can't make enough money.
They can't make enough money.
And because maybe there are enough other persons that will pay privately.
Yeah.
So that can pay what they charge.
Okay, true or not true on this, and I think we touched on it, whether it's Tennessee or any other state, if you are someone living at home and all of a sudden you decide to seek out a Medicaid accepting facility, going into those, I imagine there's a long waiting list to get in. It's difficult.
Yes.
Is that true probably? The few that do accept it, well, to go in and start off right on the bat on Medicaid, it's hard to get in because there's so many people.
Yeah, because in Tennessee, the way you get into a nursing home that accepts Medicaid is you either get on a waiting list, and the waiting list could be 1 week or 6 months or longer.
Okay.
The second way is the way that you get past the waiting list is you come from the hospital to a skilled nursing facility where that nursing home is, which Medicare covers. Medicare pays for skilled nursing facility care. That's your therapy and whatnot. And if you can't go home, you know, then you stay in that nursing home and then you ask for Medicaid help.
Gotcha.
That's really the way that works.
Okay, now there's one other way. I was saying, the thing that burns me about the fact that there's nursing homes or assisted living facilities that don't choose to accept it, you could have an individual go into an assisted living facility and spend, say, $500,000 of his life savings over maybe 3 or 4 years, and he finally runs out of money, and they're like, oh, you're out of money? Well, we just took your $250,000, but guess what? We don't accept Medicaid. You're out of here.
That's right.
That's what I worried about with my folks. I'm like, you know what? My folks have the savings.
They are strictly private pay.
If they live, my folks are going to pay at least $250,000 over several years into this place.
Right.
And I think it's a rotten deal for any facility to say, you know what, we just took your $250,000, you're out of money, to heck with you. So we were going to move them out of this place that they were in until I realized that, yes, just recently they became Medicaid qualified. I said, well, that's good, because, you know, I think it's plain old bull hockey that you were going to kick my folks out if they ran out of money. So now this is good to know that when they finally invested in your facility, spending all of their savings, you're not kicking them out. So that's one way to get in. At least they're there now, correct?
Right.
And they're not going to, they're already in. When they run out of money, they'll just transition to Medicaid.
Yes, and here's something that all of us need to know, in particular those of you who are like you said, you're a caregiver, or you could be wind up in one of these facilities one day, is that in Tennessee, very few assisted living facilities participate in the Medicaid program. And the reason for that is Medicaid doesn't pay enough.
Right. They don't pay enough.
Right. And if they can get their money from some
private carriers.
If they can get it from.
That is just awful, Tim, that they'll take it from private, and hopefully they have enough money for the rest of their lives. But someone who spends their life's fortune, and I'm not talking about chicken feed, I'm talking about maybe $250,000, and then they say, see ya? That is crap. That is crap. It's wrong, and I think it's immoral. Because then you're kicking these poor people out that have lived there for several years and spent their life savings. It's immoral. If you go to one of those places, move out.
And it could be that somewhere down the road is that, I mean, you're exactly right. I mean, that's home for your mom and dad. And for everybody else that's living there. And it's like, okay, I ran out of money. Now what do I do? Well, I guess you're going to have to go live with your son and daughter-in-law, right?
Could be
that. You know, I mean, that's the way, unfortunately.
Let's take a call from Cindy. Cindy, good morning. Hi, Cindy.
Good morning, Nick.
Good morning. What's on your mind?
Well, I totally understand exactly what he's saying about elder and how hard it is to basically explain to the parent in a kind way that you understand what's going on now. I used to get calls from the police that, you know, when I'd be at work or something, that my mother is lost, and they found my number in her pocketbook.
Oh, boy.
And I said, well, where is she? And he said, well, we took her home. And I'm not sure if this is where she lives. Can you immediately get there at the house, you know, where my mother lived, and see if she is in the right state of mind? And I said, well, okay, I'll do that. So I immediately go flying, left what I was doing, and go flying there. And I've also had this happen with my real father, who walked. He only lived about a mile from the drugstore. And one thing I would always tell him, do not drive anymore. And I would repeatedly tell his wife, he cannot drive. He's losing his mind. He's getting lost. It took him 3 hours to find my house when I only lived 7 miles away.
Hang tight on that, because I want you to comment before we have to run to the break. But Cindy's a good daughter. There's no question about it. And what she just brought up is the reason folks end up sometimes in nursing homes or assisted living. I went through the same thing you did, Cindy. But she's right.
Yeah.
It's hard. Like she said, Dad, don't drive anymore. You can tell him that, but you know what you got to do? Take the keys away.
Yeah, you got to do something.
And you hate doing that, but that's what I think a lot of people are wrestling with. She's been through it. I've been through it. When you have to address it with your folks.
Because what you're doing is that you're balancing that your mom or your dad's concerns about autonomy and independence versus his needs for safety and security.
Yes, and it's hard, and you have to tell them what. And a lot of times they don't like it because they're losing their independence. Which, you know what, I understand.
Right, exactly. I mean, you start thinking about that. It's like, okay, what do you mean? I'm like stuck here. Mm-hmm. I mean, I can't go anywhere.
Yep.
You know, my daughter has made me prisoner.
Yeah. How often do you ever come across cases where the seniors kind of accept the reality and go peacefully into the night? Because every other case, it's very rare. They're always going to push back a bit.
Well, what almost always happens, there's a crisis or something where they just can't drive.
Yeah.
I mean, there has to be like, unfortunately, sometimes there's a...
It has to be a crisis. Otherwise, they're like, oh, I'm still fine. I'll never forget, as we go to the break, my dad, we were and he goes, I'm still the best driver in the family. And my wife was like, you're not letting him drive, Nick. And I'm like, you're right.
And if you do, just let me know because I'm staying home.
Exactly. I mean, and in his mind, though, still the best driver. And he was a fine driver. Not anymore. Yeah. We'll take a break. When we come back, more of your phone calls, more of our conversation with elder care law attorney Tim Takacs right after this.